Welcome to Crime Clarified, where I tell you who done it and how. In this video, I want to talk about the king of the mass murder mystery, the Saw franchise. More specifically, the newest installation, Spiral. Before getting into who the Spiral Killer is, I do want to recommend you go watch the film yourself and see if you can work it out. It's a really fun time with some nice homages in style to the classic Saw franchise, while still being standalone enough for newcomers. It does have its flaws, and despite the short runtime keeping it tight and engaging, I do feel there are places where a longer runtime and further development would have benefited it greatly and prevented heavy-handed exposition.
12 years ago, I turn in a dirty cop, I get a medal for it. Big deal. I also got a bullet, and I got to look over my back for the rest of my career.
Shut up!
However, overall, it was a fun way to come back to the cinemas again after so long, with some brilliant gory traps and superb practical effects. Now, final warning for spoilers as we get into the story and see all the clues that would lead us to who the Spiral Killer is. Our opening trap involves a policeman chasing down a purse snatcher into a sewer. He gets pigged and wakes up in the underground with a choice to tear off his tongue or die by train hit due to his lies on the witness stand. We get the classic fun Saw editing, puns and gore as he attempts to decide what to do, but he ends up being smushed and also tongueless as well, so. We're introduced to a Detective Banks who is viewed as a rat by his law enforcement colleagues for turning in a crooked cop who shot a witness about to speak out about some police brutality. We also learn that his father was the head of a division and he has quite a few daddy issues about this.
You pull a gun on your old man?
He's given a new partner, a rookie called William Schenk, who tells him the whole reason he's there is because of Banks' father, saying, "Your dad is the reason for all of this. He's why I want to do this." Oh, I can't do an American accent. "Your dad is the reason for all of this. He's why I want to do this in the first place." Which is, bit forward, but okay, man. Cool, I guess. On their way to investigate the tube death, Schenk reveals a picture of his perfect stock photo looking ass family. Wife, dog and baby Charlie. And we hear that Banks, on the other hand, is going through a rather messy divorce. The scene at the tube is absolute carnage and Schenk seems wobbly on his feet, but when asked if he's going to puke, he responds that he's been waiting for this since he was 12, which is a weird response in that situation. Back at the station, Banks gets a cute little present. It's a tape, and it leads him to a tongue. Yay! Although he's sad because this guy was actually his only friend in the police force.
I heard about Boz. You alright?
Nah, Dad, I'm f***ed up.
We realise the tube death is likely a copycat Jigsaw killing, which is all spooky.
Wait, I thought the Jigsaw killer was dead.
Yeah, but if it's another copycat,
It's gonna be a shit show.
And work on it all night. At one point, Schenk having to borrow Banks' phone because his has died, which I'm sure will not come up again and is only there so that Chris Rock could make a Twilight joke. Another homicide detective is put in a trap after not reporting into Banks like a little shit. This guy, Fitch, was responsible for Banks getting shot by refusing to give him backup. He also shot an unarmed dude who gave him the middle finger. If you're not getting it, this film is very, very ACAB. After getting a box of his fingers in and finding his body, we get a flashback of the kill and some more fun editing of him trying to tear off his fingers to stop himself from being electrocuted. He obviously failed. We then get a new present with a pig puppet, aka Mr. Snuggles, that has a big chunk of skin with, ooh no, the tattoo that belongs to Schenk. It has his son's name on it. We find the body and it is fully skinned and, that's weird. We didn't get a flashy flashback like we did with all the other kills. And we can't actually tell from the skinned face who this is. And we also never end up seeing his family, even though Banks says to keep it out of the press until he tells them. I guess he must have forgotten. He is very busy, so I'm sure it's nothing. Also within that box was a clue saying, "While you're waiting for bodies to fall, I'll take your head," which I thought was a pretty straightforward message that they were coming for the head of a department. But I guess not, because Banks doesn't seem to think so. Oh wait, no, yes it does, because she's now in a trap getting covered in hot wax with a choice to paralyze herself or suffocate for allowing the corruption in her force. Yikes. Banks figures it out, but he's too late.
that was just a diversion to get us out of the precinct!
And it seems someone has got into the system to alter the video footage. Either his dad or the crooked cop he turned in. This is particularly concerning as Banks' dad Marcus has been missing for the past day or so after they made plans to eat together. Banks gets picked and handcuffed to a pipe with a saw nearby. He considers taking off his arm, which is a cute little reference, but instead finds a bobby pin and undoes the handcuffs that way. He sees the cop he turned in on a box and is told he can either try to save him or throw his key to freedom in the trash. For some reason, Banks still hasn't picked up the whole riddle thing by now and doesn't look in the trash until it's too late, because the trap has shards of glass being thrown at him, and I don't know, it's pretty fun. Honestly, I think it's probably my favourite trap. Banks then goes upstairs to the warehouse and finds... Do you know who the spiral killer is? That's right, it's Shank. No shit, man. He's been acting weird the whole time. Let's go back to the beginning. So Shank is the son of a witness the crooked cop shot. He was 12 at the time, thus that weird line earlier. He's determined to take his revenge on the crooked cops that he blames for this loss, in a hope to reform the entire system through fear, basically. He hired the purse thief to lure the first cop down to the drain. He wormed his way onto the team and into being Banks' partner. That weird family photo? Who knows who those people are because he doesn't have a wife or kid. And during a scene where it sounded like there was a baby in the background, he was just playing the noises on a very over-the-top looking program on his laptop. He killed Fitch and then faked his own death by tattooing his fake son's name, it's actually his dead dad's name, to the purse thief's arm, and then murdering and skinning him. He then murders the chief. How did he do that? Well, by luring her with a text from Banks, of course. Remember when he borrowed Banks' phone? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, even I don't really understand this bit, as he borrowed the phone like a day before she got the text, so I guess he scheduled it or cloned the phone onto his fancy-ass laptop. But we never see Banks even realising that she got a text from him, so I don't really understand that. Anyway, in this moment, he also sent a text to Banks' dad Marcus, inviting him to this warehouse. They now go to meet him after Banks agrees to help Shank reform the police system by pointing him towards the bad cops. Marcus is hanging in the air, slowly being drained of blood, and although Shank has called the SWAT team, telling them there's a mad shooter around, and they're only 4 minutes away, Marcus has about 3 minutes left, which... He's been missing for over a day, and the text calling him down there was sent ages ago, so... Was he being drained of blood the whole time and Shank just timed it so perfectly so that now he'll die? Or like, was he just in Jeff's storage or something? I don't know. Shank gives Banks a gun with 1 bullet and tells him he can either shoot him or at a target that will save his dad. For some reason, this is a tough decision for him to make. I'm not really sure why, just obviously shoot the target and then go get the guy, like, whatever. He eventually does shoot the target and the trap is slightly released. Now the last clue we haven't mentioned is Shank saying, "Your dad's the reason I'm here now," or whatever. So I thought the whole time that the big twist would be that the person Shank's dad saw abusing someone that he got shot for admitting he saw was going to be Marcus, and that's why the other police guy was protecting him, because, you know, he's the big boss man in charge. But for some reason that's not explicitly said, and instead he just blames him for being a general corrupt cop in other ways, which, you know, okay, that's fine, I guess, but it doesn't really have quite as much weight behind it as I thought it would. So once this trap is released, Banks goes after Shank, who's escaping, just as the SWAT team breaks in. A tripwire causes the wires to yank Marcus upwards again like a little puppet, just like the pig one we saw earlier. A gun appears in his hand, and because for some reason the SWAT team is blind and very reactionary, they shoot him, despite him being clearly attached to many wires. So Shank manages to escape as Banks screams at the death of his father, and we cut to black. Now, I talked about quite a few of the problems with this film, but like I said, it's ultimately a fun time, and the traps are great. I am curious if the twist was as obvious for everyone as I found it, or if it's my obsession with murder mysteries making me very attuned to foreshadowing. Either way, the crime was committed by a man who saw the brutality of police violence as a child and vowed to use a language they'd understand to help reform the system. He wanted to bring on the one good cop he knew to help him with it. But unfortunately, Banks was not really into the whole killing my dad thing. He was inspired by John Kramer's philosophy of traps being a way to reform and change someone's life, as well as the torturous undertones. Or overtones, I guess. He says that kind of John Kramer was right that the spiral is a symbol of change, evolution, and progress, which is a bit weird because I don't know if John ever said that. The only spirals in earlier films were the rosy cheeks on Billy Boy, but I suppose that's what happens when you become a dead legend. People read what they want into your acts. Josh Stolberg has hinted at further installments, so perhaps we shall see Shank killing more cops in the future. And I'd be really interested to see how he develops as the spiral killer rather than the jigsaw killer. Will he get more apprentices other than just the meth guy? I don't know. Will be interesting to see. Thanks so much for watching. It's been a very hectic time for me, so I've really enjoyed getting a chance to make a video, and I really enjoyed getting to be back in the cinema, especially to watch a new Saw film. That's been really great fun. Let me know what you thought of Spiral, and also when along the way you were able to work out the twist. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!